we go. When you decide to do a podcast, you look for someone that's talented, bit of crack, and has a bit of value when it comes to adding to their opinion. Unfortunately, we haven't got that with Tommy, but thankfully, we have a teammate that can do it all. Conor Murray, 125 caps for Ireland, 5 Six Nation Championship. 2 of them are Grand Slams. He's been on 3 Lions tours. He's 200 caps for Munster. The only downside is he did play for Garryowen in a flawless career. You are most welcome to the Offload. More good to see you, fella.
Thank you. You nearly had me sweating there the way you were going on, but thank you for the introduction, Dunners.
This is a Munster love in here, is it?
It's a Munster love.
Someone said slagging me or something.
Before we start, Mur, we do have to say congratulations. The book is out. Go on, Donncha, hold it up there.
Yes, look at this.
What? Cheers, guys. Thank you. Look at that.
Beautiful bit of work.
Serious.
Conor Murray, Cloud9, available now in Eason's, Dubray, the book station, O'Mahony's, anywhere you get a decent book, go in and pick it up. The beauty is out now and on your shelves.
Are there good pictures in it?
There's great pictures.
Hey, it's a picture book.
Tom,
yeah, it's a picture book. For Earlsey, I had to do a picture book. Yeah.
Well, you're going to be up against Disaster Dad Part 2. So listen, it's easy pickings for you, Mur. But listen, tell us,
top of the charts.
You did the book. We'll get into your career. We'll get into all the behind the scenes stuff in as well. But how have you found it? How's life been since? Have you hung up the boots? What's going on at the moment?
Yeah, good question. Pretty much have hung up the boots. I kind of left it open-ended because, if the right thing came across the table, for my wife Joanna and our 10-month-old Alfie, it was going to be kind of a decision made around them as much as me playing on, you know what I mean? And, Joanna I took her out of London 7-8 years ago and brought her to Limerick for that length of time. So she's done. She's done.
So you're in debt forever.
Yeah, big time. Because I've kind of felt it since I retired for the last couple of months. When you're not playing rugby and you're just sitting around the house, it's a tough one. So, look, the right location / club didn't really come around, and I said that at the time. If it didn't, I was happy to call it a day there. And we're going to look to move closer to Joanna's family in the near future and started that new chapter up that direction of the country. So look, I'm happy.
You're coming up my way, are you?
We are, man. Yeah,
welcome.
we are.
Little Alfie could end up playing for Ulster.
No, we're gonna send him down to a boarding school in Limerick at some point. He's getting his rugby education in Limerick.
Yeah. Alfie could play for Ulster right now, Tommy, to be fair. How old is he?
He's getting phone calls already, I think.
Richie, he's a tread at the line and he can kick off both feet. You need
Listen, he's got the pedigree, that's for sure.
He's
we'll go. Is he? Yeah. Oh, well, congratulations. And listen, congratulations on an epic career, yourself and Joanna as well, little baby Freddie too. So we're delighted for you and delighted that you're in a great place together. I wanted to go back to the start.
Hold on. Before you go back to the start, can I jump in just as a teammate, man? More, keep going. No? Would you not look to keep going, man?
You've said this to me and you've sent me lovely messages about it as well. And I feel great. Body feels great. But I don't know. I think I am genuinely, I think the end... you know when it's coming, some people go way past it, but some people are more hungry for cash than others.
That was a dig at me, Tommy. Was a dig at me.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, he's a bit slow on the uptake here. You have to write him down.
So I was just, the feeling came across me, like it came, especially you don't want to retire like in a tracksuit, and that was a big and what I mean by that is you don't want to retire not being part of the 23. And whether that's a pride thing or an ego thing, or I've just seen lads, I've been so lucky to be in squads and I've seen lads when we've won things or won big games, and you see the lads in the tracksuits who aren't involved and they're trying they're trying to be like, delighted when deep down that all they wanted to do was be on the pitch at some point. So I really just had a strong feeling that I didn't want that to happen, and I kind of felt it coming with Ireland. And I suppose I actually got a little bit lucky in the last Six Nations that Craig got injured before the Six Nations. So then I knew I had a chance of being on the pitch on the last game of the Six Nations with my last game for Ireland, and I kind of walk away that way. Same thing with Munster. And yeah, I just, it's been good to me. The game's been really good to me. I feel really lucky, and I feel, the next chapter, whatever I do, I think I'm ready for it.
It's hard to balance that though, isn't it? Like, more fair play to you for calling it if that's the case, because you're right. That resentful bit comes in. Just for myself personally, I was lucky to have Axel. Anthony Foley was our coach at the time. And I remember, man, he was nearly holding my hand the whole way through it. You know what I mean? He was there, I'm telling you, this is going to start really getting to you. Just keep chatting to me. But it is hard there, isn't it? When you turn up with the best will in the world, but you still have something to offer.
Yeah. And it's the balance of that and getting, you want to be appreciated, I suppose, in the squad, or you're valued. And I'm glad, we actually talk about it in the book. You can hear the baby's just up there.
There we go. Yeah.
Come on, Alfie.
Keep playing, Dad. Keep playing.
His mother's there. His mother's looking after him.
He's there. Who told me I'm going hanging around with Tommy Bowe?
Yeah. I'm not signing a pro there.
You can leave Limerick, kid. I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. He's up, thank God. So you just wanted to feel valued, and I actually put it in the book because it was the last part of it that, you know how it is when you come to the end and you want to feel valued, you want to contribute, and I managed to do that, albeit we did lose to the Sharks away, but I contributed off the bench on the last game for Munster. Kicked the penalty to get us tied and go into extra time and all that. So that was really important for my teammates. Whatever your relationships are with the coaches, your teammates, knowing that they respect you and see the value in you was huge. And I know I did that in my last game, and it was tough because Munster was tough at the end. It was a tough place for me personally, and to kind of keep showing up was something I'm probably most proud of because it was the most challenging time.
Listen, I completely hear you, and I actually went through a similar spot. Did you find when you'd almost made that decision, it easier for you to go out there and train? You're almost embracing, this is my last training session, this is my last time doing this. I actually really enjoyed that, and the shackles were off. You're able to actually really embrace it instead of feeling that the pressure was on you all the time.
Yeah, 100. I know exactly what you mean, because like the meeting rooms and being around like the staff was all right. You know what I mean? You want to play, you're not getting enough game time, blah blah blah. So you're a little bit thrown out there. But then you go down to the dressing room with the lads, and it's like your sanctuary, isn't it? Yeah. And you're like, the shackles are off. You're right, and you're like, yeah, this is my last. You're kind of counting it down. I've got a couple of months here. I'm just going to embrace this, because we've all felt it. I was 36 in the dressing room when you're in there with young fellas who are just kind of starting out on their journey, and that was important for me as well to help them as much as you can and be a good player for them to play with. You know what I mean? Not be a fella throwing the toys out and just sulking around the place, which I hope it wasn't part of my makeup anyway. But you enjoy it more when you kind of know it's coming to an end.
Can we go back to the start now, Donncha? Am I allowed to ask a quick question?
No. Oh, here we go.
You're allowed, you're
do you know what? That. If you want to go back to the start, Tommy, read the book. Now available in Eason's, Dubray, the bookstore.
Yes, okay.
Manny's,
we got it.
You weren't lying when you said you were going to plug the life out of it.
We got it.
Have you gone and got Conor Murray's book yet?
Ahead of big Leo Varadkar's book, no doubt, as well. Way bottom of the shelf. You have Disaster Dad here. But I want to add, do you remember when you first broke into the Irish setup? This was whenever, you were with the Munster team. I think it was about 2011, wasn't it, for that World Cup?
Yeah.
That was the big time I remember. And I'll never forget. Remember, Tomás O'Leary was kind of the main scrum half at that stage. Strings was around. Redzer, Bossy, kind of all that sort of time. And the announcement around the World Cup, and Declan Kidney ended up not taking Tomás in that World Cup. You were brought in, and of course you were starting all those games, playing fantastically well. As a young fella, how was that? Was that a difficult kind of baptism kind of into the Irish setup to get thrown in? Or were you confident you're like, this is my chance?
No, I wasn't. Maybe I was confident when I got on the pitch and training and felt at home there. But I'm telling you that the first drive up that Carton House avenue or driveway, lads, I saw because I'd obviously broken into the Munster team, was playing with Dunners, Paulie, ROG, and that was getting to be a little bit familiar. But like yourself, Carnes, Dricko, all these lads were like never met you, never played. Do you know what I mean? It was really daunting. And I remember driving up Carton House Avenue, and it was a sunny day, probably June when we started pre-season, and I saw Carnes with his shades on with Dricko there. You were probably there on the balcony of the golf course, and they were just chilling out, blah blah blah. And I was just this new young fella, and I would have paid anything to turn around and be like, no, you don't have to be here. Like, just, it was so daunting. And like, do you know what it's like when you go into a big kind of environment like that with like lads you looked up to? And
the fact you were trying to look like Justin Bieber didn't help either.
Yeah, the hair.
The hair.
I knew the hair. I was cutting my own hair at the time and everything. Like, you know, I had a little Audi A1 pulling into the car park with all your supercars parked up. So it was daunting. It was daunting, but
and when you got that nod then for the World Cup, you know, Decky made that big decision. Did you feel the pressure, or, you know, did he have a word with you and kind of say, listen, I'm going with you, or was that kind of news to you as well?
I did feel, no, it was also new to me that I didn't really have time to feel the pressure, if you know what I mean, as someone that young. That's a weird thing to explain, but the call before Tomas, so Tomas was in, like, I'm sure he knows this, and then I was told a week before that France game, Decky rang me and was like, look, you're not going to the World Cup, like, thanks for coming training, thanks, you know, you've got great experience now, hopefully we'll see you down the line, you know, you've acquitted yourself well. And I was like, great, that's me. I kind of thought I knew where I stood. And then unfortunately Tomas didn't have his best game against France in that second last warm-up game. And Decky rang me on the Sunday morning and he goes, the plan has changed, you're coming. And I was like, oh, right. So it wasn't like I had like made peace with it. I was probably going off on holidays with the lads to Ayia Napa or something.
You were there like this.
Yeah. Thought I was great, that I trained with all E-boys and everything. But then he goes, you're coming. So I was told I wasn't going, then told I was.
I didn't know that.
Either did I.
Yeah. Yeah. Decky's probably
more
upset with me now, but that's what he said.
More importantly, does Tomas know it?
That I know, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I don't know if he does. We get on anyway. But Decky, you wouldn't be surprised if that was Decky's plan all along. You know what I mean? The way he kind of plays games, which maybe he knew that from the start and wanted to see how I reacted. So thankfully I didn't fuck him out of it.
Well, you did pretty damn good in that World Cup as well. I was reading as well, though, Johnny Sexton talking about, because obviously yourself and himself, and he had his own battles with ROG around that time. And him talking about, was it Italy, the game in the pool stages that you threw a bad pass to him? And like, we've all been at the end.
It wasn't a bad pass. It wasn't a bad pass.
Well, no, it was never.
It was the wrong call. It was the wrong call. I didn't listen. I didn't listen to Johnny, which I have learned since to do. So like it was all that 11 World Cup. When I describe it as like no pressure, it was all just these new experiences. So like, you know what I mean? I turned up and I started against USA, and I was like, what is going on here? Like, we're putting on the number 9, and it felt like it was happening so quickly. I didn't have time to be nervous, if you know what I mean. Then suddenly I'm kind of, come off the bench against Australia. We go well, then I end up starting anyway. And it was the Italy game was the last group game. It was me and ROG, because ROG and Johnny were ROG had just gotten back ahead of Johnny at the time.
Yeah.
And it was me and ROG starting, and it was like the 60 odd minutes, you're on that long, you should be having a half decent game. And then Johnny comes on and we're well ahead, the game is over, and I'm just playing heads up rugby, and we come off the sideline and Johnny tells me to hit the forwards, but I wasn't listening. And I remember the atmosphere in that stadium. I was probably listening to ole, and just like, we're through to the quarterfinals. And he tells me hit the forwards. I don't listen to him. I throw it at the back to him, and he's obviously hasn't had time to get something ready outside him. So
always be alive, Johnny.
All the way.
Always be alive.
All options at the line, Johnny.
We're not robots, Johnny. So he doesn't have anything set up, so he just has to kick it, and he kicked it long, and we're all chasing it. And can we curse on this podcast?
Yeah, go fill your fucking boots.
Well, fill my boot. Well, I actually feel uncomfortable with some of the curses he used, but like he was fucking me out of it the whole way up the pitch. He was like, you fucking idiot, you weren't fucking listening. You're only doing this because it's not ROG and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa.
Right.
And
Really?
I at the
He
time, in my
vented.
head, I was like, in my head at the time, I was like, it's going to be me and Raj starting the quarterfinal anyway, so you can fuck off.
If you'd
And he,
said it.
like, so I know it was in my head. But yeah, after that, that was me and Johnny's kind of the start of our
That's the
relationship.
start.
And, you know, nowadays we're great friends. The wives are great friends, and it's come full circle, but a rocky start.
But Murray, it's weird, right? That's something you're going to miss. Tommy, I don't know about you, but that kind of, I think in the business world and in reality, it gets
Can't
called,
do that anymore.
yeah, well, radical candor, I think. Yeah. But that honest appraisal of your friends, you know what I mean? Because they want you to be better, you know? I just think it's something quite remarkable and unique to the environment.
Yeah, I will. We'll have to try find a place to kind of get that frustration or competitive edge. But I think Johnny plays 5-a-side now with Ferg, McFadden, and a few of the lads, and they say it's like Roy Keane stuff on a Tuesday evening. Like he's
Wimbledon back in the day.
I mean, he just can't switch off, can he? Like, it's amazing, though, the career that you did have, because you obviously learned to deal with it and probably gave your own back as well. The biggest area I remember, like, no, okay, you're shaking, not so much. Listen, you pick your battles with Johnny, we all know that. Listen, my biggest memory is the Le Drop, wasn't that in 2018? Like, the two of you at times just seemed to be in synergy. You knew exactly where each other, you knew, like, you just played in this flow state between the two of you, and so in tandem. In that 2018, going through, what was it, 40 phases to set up that drop goal at the end. And it didn't even look like you were giving it to Johnny at that stage. Was that a plan? Like, how was that at the time?
Like, I think we did get to a stage where we telepathically kind of like read off each other and knew what each other were going to do. But I genuinely, he was such, and you've all played with him, he was such a leader, and he left you no doubt with what he wanted. So I just, you know, it was kind of the same when I started playing with ROG. He was such a big influence that I was so worried about just passing the ball well to him and doing what he wanted. And then eventually you kind of become your own person within that game plan as well. And that's what happened with Johnny as well. And, you know, we did grow to be friends, and like the chats you have away from the field, he'd be telling me, like, because I used as a scrum half, like, and like a taller scrum half or more physical, I used to be like taking on the ball and getting tackled loads, and like Johnny was like, look, you made half a meter there, and then like the ball is really slow, and he was like, just stay on your feet. Me and you, let's just try stay on our feet for as long as we can in the game, and we'll control things. And like little chats like that we'd have throughout the years. And yeah, to that 2018 drop goal, it was you probably dress it up a little bit now because it all worked out really well. But we were going through the phases, and you know, we were actually kind of slowing down a bit, and he hit a monster drop. It was like 40 odd meters, so we were kind of incredible. And he just like a little nodded ahead as if I'm ready, which is the kind of flow or the calmness that you need in a situation like that. And yeah, it was a wet ball. I was so nervous about. Actually, do you know what? It happened so quickly that I didn't really have time to think about the pass. If you had to do that pass with time to think about it in that greasy conditions, that could have gone over his head at his shoes. But yeah, all those things kind of worked out, and that was like one of his many moments.
An amazing moment, Murray. Like, can you remember the flight of the ball going over the bar? You know what I mean? Those moments that you're nearly like a spectator in that.
Yeah, like I part of you is like, as a 9, like I threw the pass, it was a good pass, and then it's like I've done nothing wrong. I've done as much as I need to do. I can't be blamed here. And then he hit it, and yeah, I remember it being like quiet. It just went quiet because it was obviously in France, so that obviously the French are quiet. And I remember seeing like, oh my God, does it have the legs? Like, because Johnny wouldn't be known for the distance of his kicks, like the chippy legs, but everything like connected. He nailed it from 40 odd meters. And then I remember Ferg McFadden again just going crazy and jumping on Johnny, and then a big pile up. And like, because I don't know if, I'd say some lads have talked about it, the pre Six Nations camp we had in Spain that year was the first time Bestie said it and Joe said it, it's like, we're going winning the Grand Slam this year. And we never ever said that. I don't know if teams he had in the past did, maybe in 2009, but we said it and we put pressure on ourselves to do it. And then we're seconds away from it kind of falling apart, and then Johnny rescues it, and then we're in the dressing room and we're like, it gave us such a, like, not a U-turn of belief, but like a big breath. Like, do you know what I mean? It really got us going. We're like, this is proper on now. We just beat France away. And you know, the way you look at the schedule and the home games, you know what I mean? And that kind of set us on our way.
That's class.
Another standout memory for me, Mur, is and we're going back there this November for the Autumn Internationals, Ireland versus New Zealand. First time beating them out in Soldiers Field.
Soldier Field, yeah.
But your performance that day,
we're all going back this year.
Are you going back? Are you?
Yeah, I'll go back. Yeah, absolutely. On the junket.
Absolutely on the junket.
100%. Isn't that what you do when you retire? Yeah.
Yeah, it's big time.
Fill your boots, fella. Fill your boots. It's your time.
I go back to celebrating Cardiff. It's not quite Chicago.
Yeah. Not bad. Not a bad memory either. But yeah, we're going back. I'll be doing Q&As wherever you want me to do them. Wherever.
We're plugging the book and the book only here.
Yeah. I'll bring the book with me. Sorry. Yeah.
But that was an emotionally charged one as well. Look, everyone will chat about that haka, but the figure of 8 to remember Axel as well, and just everything that went on that week. That must be one that certainly stands out for you as something that you'll never forget.
Yeah, like we always, whenever I'm asked about that, it was the 2 weeks before that when we played Glasgow. The week after Axel passed was kind of where it started, really, for us Munster lads, anyway, and probably other lads watching on, but. You know, to turn up and play a week after, you know, what happened, it was tough, but it was also easy, you know, in a way to go to Thomond Park, and it was almost like, I find it weird saying beautiful, but it was a beautiful thing, that it was like a tribute to his life, and it was like a celebration, you know what I mean? And there was no way we could have lost that day against Glasgow. Even like poor Earlsey, like I think he just spilled over and he ended up getting sent off, but you could see what it meant to lads to want to, and that's where I suppose it started. And then we obviously went to Chicago, and you know, it was just a novelty of being in the States for a rugby game, and you know, it was a really enjoyable week. And then it was only later in the week where I think Johnny brought it up about the haka and the Munster lads being at the front of the figure of 8. And like that game in my mind was like one of my favorite games that I ever played in. And I think, like, you talk about inspiration and all, but like standing at the front of that 8 and being like, Axel's still quite raw in your head, and looking across the haka, and you're like, I really don't give a shit about this. You know what I mean? Oh, you're not beating me today. There are certain moments, I'm sure you'd agree, like certain games in your career where you're just like, I'm going to play as best I can today, and like I am, and yeah, that was one of them. But the funny one was Zeebs. I remember walking. I never really used to go out on the pitch before games. I'd go into the dressing room and you know, listen to my music and just go about my business. But like Zeebs was like, come on, man, it's unreal. There's so many people out there. Let's go. So we went out for like a lap. Zeebs just get a few photos or whatever. But I went out with Zeebs, and it was such a big game, such pressure. And then Zeebs was like, look at this, man. The sun is shining. Like, we're going to play the All Blacks. We're going to rip. You're going to rip me so many passes today. I'm going to make a show of your man, and blah, blah, blah. And he's such a tonic for me.
Isn't he?
Like, at times I would have got so wound up and nearly go into myself, whereas Zeebs was like, come on, man, let's have a ball. Like let's just enjoy this. And we did. And you can see it in the clips. We had the time of our life that day.
It's class. Axel, he coached you as well at underage, wasn't he? So he's like a big mentor of yours. He was the head coach. Obviously, gave you your first run at Munster too. So
yeah,
like, listen, and listen, having that emotional side, but then Zeeb's kind of taking the pressure off. I mean, as you say, perfect tonic.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it was the few times in my life where I genuinely felt the flow state. You know, you do try. We all try access it like over and over, and it would be easy if you could do that. But that day was just like, I'd love to know what I did, or I always tried to repeat what my whole routine, and but it was just one of those days where everything clicked, and yeah, it was just a nice timing with the whole accent thing to go out and do a job on them.
Okay, Donncha, right, before you get on to reading extracts from the book, how did you deal with towards the end of the career, Conor? Like with in the battle, like you battled right the way through your career, but yourself and Johnny had such a partnership. Then all of a sudden Gibson Park comes through, you're fighting Craig Casey as well. How did you deal with it and deal with the outside noise? Because I've been there, I know what it's like. You hear the pundits and everybody kind of writing you off. But whenever you're in that position yourself, did you go to teammates? Did you just kind of, was it a chance to show them?
Yeah, again, I would divide those two endings, like my club career and international career, kind of, I would divide them in two, because with Munster, like I had Craig, like we had a great battle, and like he's a fantastic player, and he does, like, he'll be around for a long time. But at times in Munster, just wanted more game time. You know what I mean? As in, don't be thrown out completely. It almost felt like that, especially towards the end. I just, I still definitely had like value to add to the team. So I think Munster frustrated me a good bit on the way in, whereas internationally completely different, because Jamison came around and I kept him at bay for a couple of years, but then he just kept getting better and better, and I'm nearly starting to lead, but you still don't want to give it up that easy. So with Ireland and with Andy, I genuinely felt valued, and I felt if I performed well enough, I would get rewarded. You know what I mean? If I put in the effort and performed, like everyone puts in the effort, but if I performed and I'm performing at a level, he would more often than not pick me. And I stayed in the 23, and he started, like, especially the Grand Slam year in 23, Jamison got injured for the first game, so I started against Wales, started the first two, and I think Craig started the Italy game, and then Jamison came back for the Scotland game. But I played well, and Faz kept me starting for the Scotland game, and then started Jamison the last game against England. So with Ireland, I always felt I was just treated fairly, and the other side of that was, it was such a good group to be around. I'd say you're sick of hearing, or you think players are told say it out of the Irish squad at the minute. Like, it is genuinely such a good environment to be in. It's so enjoyable. It's, they're,
why?
Faz lets you be yourself. Like, I know that sounds really basic, but
come on,
genuinely,
give us more than that.
No. We're on the tear the whole time. It's so enjoyable.
What lets you fart like in the dressing room or something?
He kind of just makes you feel relaxed. You know what I mean? So, sometimes in an environment like that, you can feel really stressed. You can feel really rigid. Whereas Faz, the crack is really good, but it's still really serious. How long could I talk about him? Like, he just gets it. He understands humans. He understands sports people, that he understands when to let you alone, when to go at you. He just has an incredible amount of emotional intelligence, and the fact that he makes everyone relax and be themselves. Friendships kind of, they're manufactured way more organically. There's no bullshit, there's no fakeness, and I genuinely have mates in that squad still, and a couple of them have retired, that you will stay in touch with properly. Like some people who say it we'll be mates for life. You do that, sometimes you don't stay in touch with everyone. Whereas the Irish squad, there'll be a lot of lads that we'll make sure we're in touch and stay together.
A big thing we hear about is him nearly enhancing you to be vulnerable, to show vulnerability. And give us some context on that more, because from the outside world, like in our time, it was never show weakness. You know what I mean? They don't ever look weak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas it's like he's flipped it and gone the other way.
He's done exactly that, I think, because I've been a part of squads where, like, don't show weakness. Like, you're fine. You're an international rugby player. You should be, like, nothing should phase you, and you shouldn't get nervous, and you shouldn't feel the stress. And Faz he has that kind of motto of being vulnerable or curious. And an example would be, I think he went to like someone like Pete one day after a game. We won a game, and it was after the game, and it was a big international game, and went to Pete, and then he went to one of the young lads. But he went to Pete first and said, "How were you feeling like the day before? Like, did you feel like pressure? Did you feel it was all a bit too much?" And Pete was like, "Yeah, I did. I felt horrendous. What did you do?" And if I was like, "What did you do, like, to kind of counteract that or try and manage it?" And he was like, "I just like stayed in the team room and I was around the lads as much as I possibly could. I can't be on my own in the lead up to games." And then he went to one of the young lads. I forget, it could have been Jack Crowley at the time, and he was like, I think Jack had gone to Faz and said, "Oh, I'm struggling. Like, I just like it feels like the pressure feels like it's too much for me. I don't know what I'm doing." And then he kind of helped him a little bit. And then after the game, he kind of laid it out, the picture out there that, look at Peter Manning, has got 100 plus caps, and he was feeling like shit before the game. He was so nervous. He just, if Faz made that be okay, you know what I mean? So we were all in the same boat. Like, I actually found towards the end of my career the nerves got worse because actually you Dunners, I don't know if you remember saying it, but I remember hearing you say this. You're like, young lads don't know the consequences yet. You know what I mean? Like, when you're young, when you play with freedom and you're not really aware of like how big a defeat is. I remember that World Cup in 2011. I didn't really understand that we lost, and I saw Lee really upset. Where I was kind of like, "What's the big deal?"
Yeah. What about
it? My life has changed now. I've gone back to Ireland. But but it's good to hear that like older lads still feel the same vulnerability, or you know what I mean, or the pressure. And Faz just kind of makes it okay not to be okay, or you know what I mean. He just kind of creates that environment, and then everyone is relaxed because they know the next fella's feeling it too.
It's amazing. Like, it really is.
He
and
is.
We got to taste it, but to see where he's got now is just to the next level, and the respect that he has, not just with Ireland, with the Lions as well, speaking to those guys. Listen, when you talk about,
I hear his book is shite though. There's a way better book out there. If you're thinking of picking up Andy Farrell's book, don't, and pick up 2 of Conor Murray's book.
Now we're going to have Andy. We're going to have Andy on in a few weeks as well. So
he's going to slay me as well. Like, so, yeah, I don't want to go up against him.
Here, well, talk to us about that World Cup quarterfinal in New Zealand, up against Joe Schmidt in that one, because when you mentioned that, you know the consequences. You've been to World Cups, you've lost in quarterfinals, but that one must have stung more than anything.
The worst one by a mile, because I knew that like how much it meant at that time.
The consequences.
I learned eventually. Yeah, it was hard. It was horrendous. It's probably the biggest scar I'll have with me from rugby. Just because I think I talked about it before. We were world. None of us ever talked about being world number one or whatever. Like, we did it in 2019. We were aware we were world number one, but we had just become world number one. And whereas the 23 World Cup, like, it's not about being number one, but there's a reason behind it. We kind of had validated it for the previous 2 or 3 years. You know, we had beaten everyone. You know, we had gone to New Zealand and won a series, and it wasn't a cockiness thing. It was just a self-belief. We were like, lads, we have the game, we have the players, we have the coaches, and look, all our results, we can absolutely. Now, I know we have to perform on the day, and World Cups are very hard to do, but we had, you know, the work beforehand, we had nailed it. So going into that World Cup, we didn't really see a reason to not go all the way. And I know it would have taken an awful lot of effort, but, you know, and we were loving France. We were loving going to, you know, Paris and the Stade de France, playing in front of like those atmospheres ring in my mind forever. Like those
incredible.
Zombie and everything, like, being sung, and it was just a time of our lives, and we just weren't ready to go home. We were just having such a ball. We were playing well, and we conceded. I don't think I've watched the game fully, but I know we did concede tries easily. Like, New Zealand scored off like first phase or
they did,
a few, and then we worked so hard for our tries. And then, there's moments in that game. I gave away a penalty for blocking Jordy Barrett on a kick, and he nailed it, and then we get held up over the line, and we have a few moments towards the end where we actually looked back on it. And I think we were just so stressed about trying to win the game. Andy showed us there was so much space towards the end of the game. If we'd gone wide, like, he literally put it on a big screen the next time we met up, and we were like, oh my God, lads, we fully But did we I don't know, did we bottle it, or did we just go within ourselves and try and, with the clock in red, you're just up the guts and try and hope for something, whereas
Yeah.
we should have stuck to the way we knew how to play. But look, we're not complaining. That was just one of those days. But that was my fourth quarterfinal, fourth World Cup, four quarterfinal home. So I knew the drill at that stage.
Yeah, but at least he performed in year one.
Just about.
Two of us played like a bag of shit, and we were gone home. When I get disillusioned, when I get down with rugby, I watch that game back. I still have that in our skybox for just like when rugby gets on top of me.
Which one?
Honestly,
The
just
20.
The New Zealand game, man.
Yeah.
Just that. Just for the game, man. It was one of the best games of rugby I've seen.
Yeah, it was like, as a neutral, if you could ever watch it like that, it was an incredible game.
You're the fat lock and be good.
I'm never gonna be a neutral in that one. But yeah, it was, from what I heard, people enjoyed it.
Well, it was a cracker, and to be fair, the South Africa-France game before it was fucking amazing as well. Now, of course, this is going to be going out. The girls are going to be playing the quarterfinal against France. This weekend as well. So, of course, we'll get your opinion on that quickly after, but best of luck to them in quarterfinals.
Yes,
so,
come on.
Yeah, they can break the
green wave.
Yeah, they have the stuff.
Listen, we need somebody to. I want to just go back to Munster there. You're talking about coaching as well and your frustration with that. You touch on Roundtree in the book as well and talk about the frustration. Obviously, he announced his departure. Was that 2023? I think he won the league. Then the following October, whatever else, he stepped away. Yeah. Was that a difficult time? Was that difficult to go into in the book to kind of make your feelings known about that?
Yeah, it was and it wasn't. Like, I hope I was honest. Like, I don't. When you're doing a book and you don't want to lie in it. You don't want to like hide stuff. I just hope I came across as honest in how I was feeling, because I think.
What was going on? Like, what was going on?
It was just like, I hated going, like, I wasn't used to it, but I hate when lads go into the coach's office every Monday and be like, why am I not playing? Like, why didn't you bring me on? And like, coaches can just pick anything out of a game or a training session and say, like, your pass after you left in the 60th minute wasn't good enough, so I'm going to go with the other friend. Like, they can just say anything and you have to walk away. So I was never that type of player to go in and like question a coach, and I would always hope that my performance would just look after themselves, and just got frustrated with him, and went into his office a couple of times and had a few chats, and he said, look, I'll pick you when you're it was actually after that World Cup in 23. He was like, you're still not there, you're still upset about the quarterfinal. I know you are. And I was like, yeah, I am, but I'm training well, I'm playing well, I'm ready to go. Like, I don't want that as. I just felt there was a few excuses made round selection at the time, and I want to be really clear that like Craig is a brilliant player, and he's going, like I said, he's going to be an international for a long time. It was just respect I was after from Roundtree at the time, so it wasn't really about like I need to start. It was like, just give me the proper amount of time that like I'm still like. I'd be coming back from Irish duty, and you're like and you felt like you were being treated like you're just coming out of the academy type thing, like. Yeah. Me and Earlsy were dropped there out of the 23 for a game against Toulouse for kind of no reason really. I know I had been injured, but I got injured in my 100 cap for Ireland, and I came back rehabbed and I was ready to go. And then you're kind of like, why are you like completely out of the 23? And you're kind of like, and I remember chatting to him and Prendy at the time, and like I just remember feeling like I was a young fella. They're like, oh look, we'll pick you when you're back playing well. I'm like, what you mean playing well? Like, I'm ready to go. I've kind of proven, not in an arrogant way, or not that you deserve anything, but like I've kind of proven.
And we've all been there. I mean?
And and it's really hard not to sound bitter or whatever. But it was just, you just want to be treated fairly, and I didn't. I felt I wasn't for a while, so that was the frustration towards the end. Unfortunately,
we all get to that stage in our career.
Old and bitter,
and the frustration.
Just say it as it is.
I can still do it.
More quickly, we're going to move on. Just how's your dad, if you don't mind us asking? I know you're touching it in the book.
He's A1,
but Jerry, you might tell us.
Yeah, he's great. He's he's back golfing and he's flying fit again. So like, when did it happen? March 23, and yeah, very scary time. Like, he was very, very lucky. Obviously got hit off his bicycle, and thank God for my mother, because he used to go out cycling without a helmet. He went through a stage there, like cycled all his life, and he used to go out without a helmet. And I remember when I was younger, my mother making him wear it again, because like he's big into triathlons and all that stuff. And unfortunately, like a few times he'd come home from a meet, or they'd be out for a big evening cycle, and like a couple of times in my head I can remember him coming home and be like, one of the cyclists was knocked down and he's gone, type thing. Like, so he was very, very experienced in cycling, and then unfortunately it happened to him, but the helmet did save him. Now, he did go through a worrying time in hospital, but like if there was no helmet there, it could have been a completely different story. So look, he's back. He's down in Ballybunion 2, 3, 4 times a week golfing. He's back to his usual self, so he's happy out, thank God.
That's great to hear. And I know you talk about it in the book, like your thanks to the neurosurgeon, everyone in UL. I mean, it's amazing that, and stroke of luck, but for you through the Six Nations to deal with that and to be able to compartmentalize that. But we're all delighted to see him back fighting fit again, great, alongside and with your mum Barbara as well. It's great.
Happy days. No, it was good. It was good.
Just an overall wrap, lads. Obviously, Ireland take on France in the quarterfinal. That's on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Murray, you've been glued to it. Obviously, the New Zealand game was disappointing, but like for me, it all comes down to this one, lads, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a big one.
Yeah, no, it's huge. Yeah, I was watching the Zealand game, and I'm sure they were disappointed because they've done well against them before, but sometimes the defeat like that. I think, were we all playing in New Zealand in 2012? We lost 60-0.
We were.
And you learn a lot.
The one where what I learned about it, remember Dricko was to Wayne Barnes behind the post. He went, what's that?
Yeah, just blow it up.
And he went,
just blow it up.
Yeah, he was there. There's 16 minutes. He was there. Can you blow it up? He was there. I can't. It's on the telly.
Oh, I remember he was running out of things to say in the huddles, or the first 2 tries, like, come on, lads, we'll go back. By the end, he was just like,
what do you say?
Nothing left. So I think the girls will learn a lot from a defeat like that. We certainly did. And look, like we said, they can break the quarterfinal duck for sure. So we'll be watching on.
Absolutely. Listen, we wish them all the best. It's going to be a cracker of a match too, and a hell of a crowd expected there as well.
Rugby championship as well. Australia got over the line, quite ruthless, kicking to the corner, finding any way to. You see, this what happens here, more right? Tommy isn't really interested in rugby.
Yeah, I'm Draco to Wayne Barnes. Blow it up, will you? Anyway, South Africa won. No, South Africa lost. Geez, South Africa are bottom of the rugby championship.
Bottom of the log, yeah.
Fucking
yeah.
Anyway, we can watch that. We'll let Conor go. You're a busy man, Conor. Best of luck to the women this weekend. It's a cracker of a quarterfinal. Hopefully they're able to do the job and beat this French side. And Conor Murray, Cloud9, get it out. It's out in the bookshops now. Want to see it. Number 1.
There we go.
Christmas presents nice and early. Conor, you're a legend. Thank you so much for that. Really,
brilliant.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.